Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to be doing a March reading wrap-up. So we're talking about all the books that I read in the month of March. If you hear a noise in the background, that's my dog, one of my two dogs. If you're new here, my name is Karen and I do a lot of books, fashion, lifestyle content. If any of that is of interest to you, make sure to hit the subscribe button. So get right into the video. So here are all the books that I read this month. It was actually quite a good reading month. I read a total of 9 books this month, and that's honestly the most I've read in a month ever, I think. And no, I didn't stick to my TBR list, so I'll tell you that already. I apologize for the lighting. It is kind of weird today because it's very cloudy outside, so I can't sit by the window because the lighting is not good. There's also a lamp behind me, and I just want blunders, so that maybe doesn't help the lighting issue. So the way that this video is going to be structured, I'm going to tell you the title of the book, I'm going to tell you the author, I'm going to give you a little overview of what the book is about, and then I'm going to give you my rating. The overview is going to be very brief because like I don't really remember, exactly the characters and the plot of every single book I read, but I'll do my best to keep you up to date. So the very first book we're going to talk about is Normal People by Verity. This is a book that was overly hyped all over TikTok and booktube, and I know this is a lot of people's actually favorite book, and I've said this like a broken record, but you either hate or love Verity. I personally didn't have any strong opinions about her writing. She doesn't use quotation marks, which is kind of confusing at times. Her writing is different. I enjoyed it up until like half the book, and then it got a little bit slower for me, so I was like, maybe this is not for me. I finished it and it took me a little while to get through it. It's about Conrad and Marianne, and they have known each other for a long time, and they kind of have a fling that lasts for like a very long time. And if you're looking for like a really sweet romance, it's like very touching, don't read this book if I'm totally honest. It is a good read though. I do recommend it. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 because the writing was different and I honestly kind of enjoyed it. So it was the first book. Then the second book that I read this month was Verity by Colleen Hoover. I honestly love this book. I did a reading vlog where I read this book this month, and it shocked me that Colleen Hoover can write thrillers so well. So this is about Verity. She's a writer and something happens to her, and then the other writer gets invited to finish the series she was writing, so she has to go to her house and live there. There's some romance in it. It's very creepy, it's very twisted. I absolutely loved it. I give this book 5 out of 5. I'm gonna make a stop to say that this wasn't a very romance heavy month. I actually got out of my comfort zone and read a lot of different books, and an example of that is me reading my first murder mystery. This is the first book of the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I already have the second book. I'm gonna add that to my April TBR, and this one is by Holly Jackson. So it's pretty much about a murder that happened 5 years ago, and then Pip is like the main character. She tries to solve this murder because she doesn't believe that the guy did it, and there's a little bit of romance in this. Doesn't get very developed, and it's a pretty good read. It's really fast. It has like maps and stuff, and it has like entries, like almost like a diary, where she like specifies everything that's going on. It's a very entertaining book. I really like this series. It wasn't a 5 read for me. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 also, and yeah, it was pretty fun. I did read a lot of Colleen Hoover this month, like a lot, so we're gonna talk about the other 3 Colleen Hoover books that I read this month. And yes, they are romance. 2 of them were highly popular all over TikTok and booktube, and I think everyone and their mom has read this. So these are the 3 books we're about to talk about. We're gonna talk about Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This book was amazing. I read this for my video where I read viral TikTok books, or I think I read this for the Stepboher one, I don't remember, but this book was just so good, you guys. I honestly love this romance. This is like my only 5 out of 5 romances this month because it was just great. It's about Tate and Miles, and they come to an agreement to like pretty much just like sex with no strings attached, and a lot of stuff happened. Miles has a really difficult past. There's a lot of plot twists in this book. They kind of get developed, and you find out all the plot twists, and you are gonna be shocked at the very end of this book. But this was a 5 out of 5 for me. This is also a Colleen Hoover book, and Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. This book was fun. It is very short read. It takes place on a beach, so it's like really good for summer. It's also a little bit twisted. I found that the ending was really rushed. It's about Samson and Bea, and they meet at the beach, and he's like this like rich guy and she comes from like poverty, and they do kind of like fall in love and stuff, but then there's a big plot twist and things kind of fall apart. And I enjoyed it, but it wasn't the best romance I've read by far, that's for sure. So I was a little bit stingy with the rating for this book, but that's just, I just went with my gut. So this got a 3 out of 5 for me. Also a Colleen Hoover book, not one of the most popular ones, that's for sure. The last Colleen Hoover book that we read this month was November 9. This has been on my TBR for the longest time. I was actually kind of reading this for one of my vlogs, not a reading vlog, but I mentioned it on a previous vlog that I'm gonna upload probably after this. This is about Fallon and Ben, and she was a victim of a fire and she has scars and very low self-esteem, and she meets Ben at a restaurant, and this book has a lot of plot twists. It is a romance. It's a little bit different because it takes place only once a year, so every November 9th for the course of 5 years. So that's a little confusing at times, and I feel like they doesn't develop very well. I didn't like that about it. I had a lot of trouble liking the characters, so I'm totally honest. It wasn't my type of book. I kind of started liking it better towards the end, but still, I didn't really like November 9 as much as people said I might like it. And a lot of people recommended this book to me, and it did not live up to the hype. So don't hate me for the rating I'm gonna give this book, but this got a 3.5 out of 5 for me. It just wasn't for me. I love Ugly Love, I love Verity. November 9, you did not live up to the hype. Not my style, don't come at me. You're entitled to your own taste. This just wasn't for me. Okay, next we're gonna talk about a series that I read this month. There's only 2 books available right now, and the next book's coming in August, and I cannot wait. This may be my new favorite series. It's not romance. I don't even know what this categorizes as. It's kind of like mystery and thriller a little bit, but not really. It's just like games and lots of plot twists. I am obsessed with this series. Obsessed. I get the cult following that this series has been creating because it's just so great. I'll start when I picked up The Inheritance Games. I bought this book a long time ago, and it was sitting on my book wall for the longest time, and I finally picked it up, and I am so thankful I did, because this book, you guys, it was amazing. Plot twist, how easy it was to read. I went through this book so fast, and it's thick. It was just so good. So it's about Avery Grams. This random billionaire leaves her like a fortune and doesn't know why, and then she meets like all of her grandsons. So there's like a little bit of a love triangle trope in this book, and they're like kind of playing a game because Tobias Hawthorne, which is the guy that died in Texas, he really liked playing games with his grandsons, and like he was a very, I want to say kind of whimsical guy, but he was really twisty and just like playing all kinds of puzzles, but not really. So this book was just amazing for me. This was a 5 out of 5 for me. I didn't like book number 2 as much as I liked book number 1. I give this a 5 out of 5. This is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Obsessed with this author. I can't wait to read other stuff she's written. And the second book, the paperback option hasn't come out yet, so I ended up having to get the hardcover one, which I hate. But this book was great. So this is just like following the storyline. Anna focuses more on, I can't really explain to you what the second book is about because it's kind of a spoiler for the first book, but this is book number 2 of the Inheritance Game series, same author. I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5. It just didn't please me enough. Sometimes happens with the second book, I feel like. So 4.5 out of 5 for me. Very last book that I read, I don't think I read them in this order, but the very last book I'm gonna talk about is To All the Boys I Loved Before. This has been turned into a movie, and there's a movie series. I liked it. It's nothing like the movie, I will tell you that. This is about Lara Jean. If you've seen the movie, I think you know what this book is about. She writes all these like love letters, and mysteriously the letters get mailed to all the boys. And then there's Peter Kavinsky. He's kind of like the love interest in this book mainly, because they kind of come to an agreement to like date so they can make Jan jealous, which is Peter Kavinsky's ex, and Lara Jean's old friend that they don't talk anymore. Wait, that's pretty much what the book is about. I gave this book a 3 out of 5. It was fun. It was very YA, but it was still a fun read. So those are all the books that I read in the month of March. Let me know down in the comments what I should add to my April TBR. I am pretty proud of myself. I read 9 books this month. That's better than the first few months of this year. So I also didn't stick to my TBR. You're gonna see some of those books roll over to my April TBR and see if I can stick to that. I filmed the TBR videos, but doesn't mean I'm always gonna stick to them. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. We have surpassed 500 subscribers. We are on that journey for 1,000 subscribers, so help me out and hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye guys.